HOTORI is the newest rate-up S-rank and a Cosmos sub-DPS who provides a lot of utility to the team. And she has much more than just one build path depending on the team you play her in. Welcome, I am Rivyn Elowen, but you may call me Rivy, and this is your complete guide to HOTORI. And a quick legal disclaimer, this video is sponsored by NTE themselves, so thank you. Let's first quickly talk about all of the parts of her kit that we will not use. Her basic attacks, her plunge attack, her charged basic attack, well, unless you are in the overworld, in which case we can slow down time, which is pretty cool. And while we will use her support skill, it does exactly what we expect it to do, and that's about it. Her critical riposte is nothing special either, but we will use it occasionally as using it is better than getting hit. So instead, let's focus on her unique resource, time, which is indicated to the left of her HP bar and not actually time. It is still energy, except it works slightly differently. HOTORI generates energy at a fixed rate of 6 per second, capping out at 120. While she can obtain energy from external sources such as through the charged Esper cycle or also Edgar's charged enhancement, none of her abilities generate any energy for her. This energy serves as the resource used for both her ultimate and skill, and that effectively means that she has her ultimate ready pretty much exactly every 20 seconds. Again, unless charge or Edgar are involved, and also charge efficiency does not really do anything for her either. This will be relevant again later on. HOTORI can cast her skill at the cost of 60 energy for some damage, but more importantly, after doing so, she will start recording the actions of other teammates. More specifically, it will start to record their skills and support skills. This recording time only lasts for 5 seconds, and upon casting her skill, any current records will be cleared. Her current recordings are indicated above her HP bar when she is on field, and she can hold a maximum of 3 recordings and at most also 1 per ally. There are 2 very important notes here to make. Secondly, each character's ability has a different time point in the animation when the record happens. This is very important, for example, when looking at Hathor. Switching out of Hathor's skill too early will not leave behind a recording as the record happens at the end of the skill, whereas Ji-Yuan will immediately leave a record the moment her skill is pressed. This can become very important when looking at interrupts, as, for example, Ji-Yuan's skill can be interrupted but would still be recorded, whereas Hathor's skill would not be recorded if interrupted too early. So, what do we even need those recordings now for? And that is a great question, so let's answer them. The answer is ultimate. At the cost of a full 120 energy, she can cast her ultimate, and her ultimate has a very high multipliers. More than double that of any other character in the game. First, HOTORI freezes the entire battlefield, dealing a good chunk of damage in a large AoE and clearing also any time impacting debuffs. This freeze affects everything, and yes, that does include the timer as well, and also switching is disabled as well. You then have a time window of 10 seconds to perform her special 5-part ultimate basic attack up to twice, and up to 10 attacks in total, and if you actually do 10 attacks in total, she will also then finish her ultimate with a finishing move. Otherwise, the skill ends early without it. And that is a lot of damage, so always make sure that you do 10 basic attacks. More importantly, however, upon casting her ultimate, she will then replay any recorded character actions in sequence. These replays are exact copies of the original base skill. The important note here being the base part. For example, if you recorded a held skill from Hathor, the replay would be the normal non-held version. Each replay functions the exact same way a normal skill or support skill would, however, otherwise. They inflict damage, they deal break and also generate charge and also Esper cycle gauge, and they also generate resources. Means Hathor's skill will grant her 2 feathers, Ji-Yuan gets 4 bullets from her skill, and MC's skill will instantly fully charge their Esper cycle gauge. And in the case of Nunnally's skill, she will already have a 30% crit damage buff the next time she enters the field, well, unless the buff runs out in the meantime, of course. Her ultimate brings not only a large chunk of damage, but also heavy utility, depending on the team and setup you run. Lastly, I do want to note that the basic attacks performed during her ultimate state are considered ultimate damage. Her second passive doubles the damage dealt by the finishing strike of her ultimate, which then means that is a lot of damage, and her first passive prevents Blossom's Vita Buds from freezing during her ultimate, which actually also has a small negative side effect in regards to charge. As HOTORI cannot gain energy during her ultimate state, any Vita Bud shots done during this time also cannot generate energy for her through charge. Most of the time that is inevitable anyway, but it should be noted and ideally we also play around that, albeit that is frankly pretty difficult. HOTORI allows to replay the support skills or skills of other team members, and hence her actual contribution to the team is higher than shown here, as the damage dealt by those replays is, well, not her own. Nearly all of her damage dealt is considered ultimate damage, however, and that does include again the 10 basic attacks during her ultimate state as well, but depending on the team you play her in, Blossom can become significantly more important, shifting around her damage contribution, and by the way, also her entire build. Because of that, she is surprisingly cheap to invest into, however, as we do not really care much about any other ability outside of her ultimate and her 2 passives. Focus first and foremost on unlocking both of her passives and then level her ultimate, then you can follow up with her skill, basics and support skill. HOTORI is really simple to play by herself. The actual difficulty comes from managing the team resources and a good timing of her skill to get as many useful skills and support skills in as possible. Ideally 1 per character, as her signature weapon would like us to do just that. We want to cast her skill and then make sure that we are able to use at least 3 skills or support skills within the next 5 seconds. This requires very good timing and also planning, as her signature loses value if we cannot reach 3 stacks. While for most players it won't really matter too much what exactly we use here, and it is much more important that you just use, well, any 3, I do want to emphasize how important and strong certain skill replays are, for example our MC skill. A full additional Esper cycle gauge is just very powerful. Regardless, however, when at 3 replays and we have the 120 energy, we press her ultimate and then again basic attack 10 times. Her Awakenings 3 are pretty good. Her A3 is probably her most versatile choice, as it allows her to effectively run Speedy Hedgehog in Hedgehog-less teams, as well as effectively granting her an additional ultimate every 120 seconds. Her A1, A2 and A6 are all very simple but efficient damage gains, with a special note going towards her A6, which becomes worse if we run Speedy Hedgehog, as stacking Defense Ignore is more efficient than not stacking it, keyword being exponential gains and stuff. Her A5 is basically a 15% damage bonus to the entire team, but only in boss fights, and her A4 is kind of the opposite. It can actually be great, but only in AoE scenarios and effectively does nothing versus single target bosses. Her Resonance 3 gives some more damage, but a special note should honestly be placed upon her Resonance 6, which is a massive team damage gain. Depending on the team you run her in, you will see various different gains in effectiveness, but the overall takeaways don't really change much. I would recommend her A3 as the first and most generic option, allowing for multiple playstyles and much smoother rotations first and foremost, but it is not a raw damage gain and might hence not be the best choice for everyone. Otherwise, go with her A5 or A6 first, then her A2 or A1, depending on how well you can maintain 3 replays with each ultimate cast. I would recommend her A4 last, unless you have trouble clearing the Beyond the Rails mobs in earlier floors. Most people skip right here, so hi, welcome! I hope you have a great day and my calculations will help you out. If you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Statistically, there is a good chance you are not yet subscribed. Thank you. I love you. Her signature is her best in slot, but by how much will largely depend on the team. Spoilers, but nearly her entire build path changes when played in a Blossom team, and the rain that shook the world becomes quite a lot better if properly utilized in that team. Without a Nunnally, you probably want to stick to her signature, however, as it is a really good weapon and she does not really have too many alternatives. I do want to emphasize again though that her signature requires you to effectively get 3 replays with each skill use, and it loses value if you cannot obtain the maximum stacks for it each time. Both Lost Radiance and Speedy Hedgehog are great sets for her. As for Lost Radiance, nearly all of her damage is ultimate damage, and she also deals a lot of damage with her ultimate, so the use case for this is hopefully quite obvious, and Speedy Hedgehog is honestly a fairly competitive, albeit a worse option. It allows MC to run a better weapon and set, but it should also be noted that I would not recommend this without her Awakening 3. With her A3, she can have 100% uptime on her ultimate and hence also Speedy Hedgehog every 20 seconds. Without her Awakening 3, you either get a worse uptime on Hedgehog or no replays, which results in less damage, a break energy and a cycle gauge. Means I would recommend you to just stick with Lost Radiance, but I did want to mention this other option in Speedy Hedgehog as it might become relevant in the future. This is the part where it becomes funny. I hope you are ready to have 2 very different builds for her. As for her main stats, assuming you do not play her with Nunnally and G1 for the Blossom spam, crit rate is the best choice, with Cosmos damage being up evenly, then crit damage and attack percent. However, in a Nunnally G1 Blossom spam team, this is no longer true, and your best choice is now cycle intensity, followed by crit rate and Cosmos damage. Honestly, there is not really much to say here. This is your layout with Lost Radiance, and this with a Speedy Hedgehog. Her substats yet again change depending on your team. Cycle intensity is your most important substat in a Nunnally team, followed by crit values and attack percent. Otherwise, crit damage should be your first choice, followed by attack percent, crit rate and damage bonus. Because of versatility reasons, I would probably recommend you to aim for cycle intensity, double crit values and either of attack percent or damage bonus for your 4 substats if you were to get to choose. HOTORI's primary problem is how good MC and G1 are with her. Because the skills fully replay and also fully activate their effects, that also means that every MC skill replay gives access to yet another Esper cycle. And that means that MC is effectively somewhat-ish mandatory in every HOTORI team. At least for now. Again, HOTORI can replay all of the skills, allowing all 3 of MC, Heather and G1 for them to double dip on their skills' secondary effects double as often. G1 gains 4 additional bullets with each replay, which results in additional pact settlements, assuming that you actually use it. Heather gains additional stacks for her ultimate with each skill replay, and MC gives access to yet another Esper cycle twice as much. The setup also allows for an Esper cycle charge, being able to feed additional energy to both HOTORI and Heather, depending on your current needs. This team is relatively easy to play at a baseline, but requires some planning to make sure to not accidentally use their support skill instead of their skill for the replays. A Nunnally team with HOTORI, MC and G1 also work incredibly well and is arguably her best in slot choice. Both MC and HOTORI can and ideally also are built for cycle intensity in this team, allowing for a great Blossom damage while G1 and Nunnally carry the team. If your G1 is busy in another team, I guess Sakiri can take the place here as well, allowing for access to Hexed, as well as providing further buffs, as well as crowd control, but missing out on the double Blossom enhancement here is honestly very noticeable. Pros and cons. HOTORI is simple to play and brings not only some very cool VFX to your screen, but also some very strong utility. She features multiple build paths, one easier than another, but to get the most out of her, you will need to effectively utilize her replays, and hence she also really likes her signature. She brings some very high damage to the team as well, but because of her strong synergy with both MC and also the Blossom Esper cycle, her teams are, at least for now, rather limited. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Use my link in the description to download NTE today, and again a huge thanks to NTE for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave me a comment on your thoughts about HOTORI and join the Discord. Also, we have merch now, yippee! Head over to Uwe Market with my link in the description and get yourself some cute merch today. A special thanks to my YouTube and Patreon members who make this content possible. I appreciate all of you and wish you a great day. Peace!